guess to start with, I'm here with Robin Bain, Willow Gray, Dare Taylor, writer director of Girls on Film and The Stars. And would you like to tell us here at Film Obsessive a little bit about yourselves and maybe about the movie?
You can start there.
Great. Hey, I'm Dare Taylor. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Minnesota and I moved across the country to be an actor. And lo and behold, I am one. Um, I have been acting since I was about 10 years old. It's been something that I've always wanted to do as a full-time career and job. And this is actually my very first time being a lead in a feature film. So I'm very excited to share that with not only just friends and family from back home, but my fans. I do have a social media presence. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or X, Twitch, on everything. And a little bit about my character in the film. Her name is Jenna, and she
Sure.
has a name, Rain. She has like a stage name. And we get to watch her go through a huge change in her life, being evicted from her current living situation to living with Blake. And you just kind of watch this relationship unfold and see how she develops as a person and how she deals with the drama that's sent her way.
All right, all right. Willow, Ramen, whoever wants to go next, please feel free.
Yeah, I was like, that was really well said. So
Yeah.
You got it.
I'm Willow Gray. I played Blake. And I just like a little bit about me. I've also been acting forever. I grew up just being a huge book nerd and always into film production. So I just always knew I'd want to go this route. I moved to LA about 4 years ago, with the saying I was going for USC, but ended up going there and the cliche to pursue acting and everything. And it worked out. This is my first lead in a feature film, which I'm so excited for all of you guys to see and to share with you. And yeah, and to see Blake, who for all intents and purposes is a little dark, very intense. She's a complex character and I think is more than meets the eye initially, as you'll learn throughout the movie. Um, she struggles a little bit, and without trying to spoil anything too much, she takes that out on Rand over here.
I guess I'm next. I'm Robin Bain. I'm the writer and director of Girls on Film. And it's just a movie about toxic relationships and power and control and the just the complexities of human behavior. And I'm excited for the world to see it. This is my third feature. I'm very, very proud of it and proud of these two ladies. And thanks for having us on, Jay.
Well, again, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I liked the way that because the film sort of like takes off running. Like we hit the ground and we're straight into these characters, and I liked how neither of the two ladies are. I wouldn't call them naive. They both have like this sense of the world. This isn't really like a tale of like lost women getting manipulated. It's more how emotions and desire mislead people, even those who ought to know better, maybe, you know. Was that intentional? Is that, or am I just reading too much into the movie?
No, that was absolutely intentional. And I feel like I have a hair in my mouth. Sorry. It was absolutely intentional. And I appreciate your thoughtfulness because for sure, I wanted to be known that these were women who were making choices and definitely were not being manipulated. I mean, there in my previous films, it's all about, girl lost and the manipulations and things like that. But there are also women and men and people in the world who make these kinds of decisions and then the consequences of those decisions.
Is that something that made like the roles more appealing to you as performers, Willow and Dare? Like when you were reading the script, did that sort of like intrigue you about taking the part?
I mean, at least for me, absolutely. I think anytime you have a character that she's not always portrayed to be the best, and she has her issues, and she takes it out on everyone around her, but there's a reason to that. And like being able to just like portray and also understand the depth to why she acts the way she does, and also like you could draw from your own life and find the commonality between what you've experienced and what someone else has, and really trying to like show all sides of Blake and why she would act the way she does, I think is was incredibly inspiring and powerful. And it was so exciting to be able to get into that and be able to show that like she's more than just meets the eye.
Yeah, I can agree with that with my character in some sense. I actually really related to the character once I got the script, in the sense that like I've kind of been in that position before where you're in an industry and you think you kind of know it all and you have things down pat and you are doing everything you need to do, but all of a sudden something gets thrown your way and you either decide to get on top of it or let it defeat you. And I feel like this is such a great piece for that, where you can't let anything that comes your way roll over you. You kind of have to take it in strides and do the best you can with it. And I, at one point, was kind of like my character where I let things roll over me and defeat me. And I didn't know what to do or how I was going to overcome these certain situations. So when I read the script, I instantly was like, oh, I can easily relate to this and put what I have learned from these situations into my acting with this scene. And I'm really glad that I got the chance to be on set and to be the character and really put myself in it.
Uh, can I ask, like, how long was it, like the audition process, the casting? Because I mean, you've got two leads who carry the movie, so it's very important who's portraying them. And how long, like, what was the process? Like, how long did that take to find it? Was it like these two showed up and you were just like, got it, or was it
Thank you.
like I don't know if we can make this movie because it's taking forever to find somebody?
Um, well, it that's yeah, it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Um, we had a lot of submissions, I would say probably over 1,000 submissions, and I'm lucky because of my first two movies, there was a lot of interest in this one. And I was saying yesterday, there's so many amazing actors in LA. And so it makes it difficult, to kind of weed through. But as a writer, when I saw these two, my only thought was, can they get along? Because I really saw them both in the roles individually. So we had them come in and do a chemistry read, and that was perfect. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. And it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, because you're right, they're in every single scene. And if they weren't going to be able to carry the movie, then it was going to be terrible. So we
Did
got
that
lucky.
did that did that like at any point like spook either the two of you as performers? You're like we are primarily like this movie is really just the two of us for the most part, you know. Did that ever like kind of like flare up a little anxiety?
I would say so. When I first got the offer, like initially as an actor, I feel like we all want the part, and then you get it. And I remember being so excited. And then I had this moment of like, oh no, like this is a lot. Like we have like reading through the whole script and going through not necessarily a rehearsal process, but like figuring out that we were going to be in the desert for 2 weeks filming. Like I can't just come to my home every night. And there was a little bit of nervousness with it, but I just wanted to trust the process. And I knew that there was a reason that I had gotten this role. There was a reason that I got the audition at the day that I did and went to the chemistry read at the moment I did. And I firmly believe it all happens for a reason. And being on set, there wasn't any nervousness because it was just a small, intimate crew that we all laughed together. We all cried together. Like it really left as soon as we all became a team and a unit.
I completely agree. I'd say like day of coming and not and like entirely knowing what to expect or what the process would truly be like from being there every single day and like being in every page of the screenplay. Like again, it's like you want it so much and then you show up and you're like, oh shit, like this is like a lot. But we became really close and like a family very quickly because we're all doing this together. And we said this before, but like it truly was the labor of love. And like we were all in it together. So it took out the nervousness, it took out the pressure in a lot of ways because everyone was giving their best, and we're like, we're not going to rest until it's the best thing that we could possibly put out there. So I say it faded really quickly for me too.
Okay. I keep looking down at my notes. I should have memorized these, but this brain is Swiss cheese. Um,
And everyone, I'm sorry for my dog. That was someone came to the door, so he went nuts.
Oh,
Sorry. Hopefully you
kind of
can cut
dog
that
is
part
it?
out.
Other room right now.
yeah, I couldn't hear it.
Oh, you guys didn't hear it?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, he went crazy. That's why I ran off. He's a Labradoodle.
Oh,
Yeah,
adorable.
yeah,
Adorable.
he's so cute.
Um,
Very protective. So,
We like that.
yeah.
so, Robin,
Yes.
the stories you tell are very direct. Um, do you compose your films in that fashion, like, to reduce the risk of like audiences missing the point? Because there's some moments in your movies that are basically blunt force trauma. Like at least that was my experience in watching this and watching the previous ones. Excuse me, Girl Lost and Girls on Film, and yeah, there were a couple of times where I was like, I have to pause, take a step back, drink, come back, and revisit what's going on. So, like, would you like to talk about that? Like, where's the directness
first,
come from? Like,
I want to know what you drank when you had to step away. Did you take a shot? Like what?
yeah, I got a medium grade whiskey that I keep on hand when things get too emotionally
Right.
overwhelming.
Emotional support whiskey.
Right. I was just curious. That's a really, of course, yes. I don't want to beat around the bush, basically. I mean, for me, when I'm telling a story, I'm telling the story, and I don't like to hold anything back. So I have heard people say, oh, maybe you pushed it too hard here, or maybe that was too much. And then other people are like, that's exactly what it should have been because that's real life. And for me, there's no reason to do it if it's not portraying real life. Those are the kind of stories that I like to watch. And so that's what I like to do is be direct and to show the world the reality of the situation and not sugarcoat it in any way.
Yeah, and that's kind of if I recall correctly, that's kind of like what set you on this like writer director path that you've taken is to forge your own path because people weren't making the movies that you wanted to be involved with, correct?
For sure. I mean, well, first of all, as a young writer director, and I've been doing this for a long time, I had a really hard time getting my movies made. I've been writing, short films and then started writing features. And eventually I realized I have to just do this myself. And luckily now with technology, I can do it myself. But, when I first started, people were still shooting on film and it's extremely expensive. Now you can kind of work around that. And yeah, I wanted to make movies that I wanted to watch, which I always like those, Larry Clark movies like Kids and Bully and things like that. And Leaving Las Vegas, those are my inspirational movies. So we need more of those. And I wanted to be that person. So
No, I don't disagree with you on that note. It's good to have like a raw, real film every so often. Did that sort of like direct bluntness that I'm talking about, did that help you with the performances? Like, was it easier to find the characters or find a way to portray them because the script gave you so much to work with,
I think it varies from actor to actor. I mean, I've certainly worked with some actors who are really open and ready to go there and others that are not. And so, you kind of just have to feel your way around it. I got lucky with Darren Willow. They were committed and ready to be there and not afraid. But, I just, some people are there and some people aren't. So I try to get through that in the casting process, but that doesn't always happen. So, because people think they want to do it, then they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. So,
yeah, I want to piggyback off that really quick that Robin does do a really good job in the audition process not only she gave us two scenes, and one was very lighthearted, but the other one was a little bit darker for the chemistry read. And she did do a very good job of briefing us on what was to come. Like there was no surprises, there was no like shock, like, wait, I'm going to have to be doing this. Like she was very straightforward in the audition process, which I'm thankful for because nobody likes a surprise. At least that kind.
Yeah. I think that's important for sure. And I do try to be very forthcoming about this is what's going to happen. You know, please make sure you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, that's okay. You know, it's just, it's all about everybody's level of comfort.
Willow, is there anything that you would like
No,
to
I
add?
completely agree. And it's also like, it also doesn't just like end in casting. Like there's open communication throughout like all of filming. And she was amazing with doing that. Like not once did I feel like we couldn't bring up something or like, hey, like how is this going to play out? And in between like Dara and I, it's also a matter of like we respect one another. We also talk through like anything that like we're not sure about or how it'll play out. So it's a lot easier to like really want to like or be able to commit fully to something that like is darker material when you could trust all the people you're working with. And she's like was direct, like going into it, like we knew what was expected, we knew different scenes and like how it'd play out. So I was thinking, like, I think having that mentality going into it as well, while working with like these amazing women who completely are coming from the same perspective and know what you're doing that day, um, it helps you commit to the bit, as I'd say.
Well, that kind of gets around to another question I was going to have
Mhm.
down the line, which was there ever an instance where you didn't feel like you were on the same page? Like you felt like the performance should go in a different way, and like how did you navigate that if that occurred? You know, like you felt maybe some other take on the delivery of a scene would be better. I don't know how to phrase that exactly. I don't know if I'm phrasing it that well, but that sort of you have an idea that maybe this take should be more fearful or this take should be more aggressive, and did that ever even come up? Or were you always on the same page? Like you all shared the same vision?
A good question for you too, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't really taken a second to think about if there was something I disagreed with. And we just watched it not even a week ago. So I feel like I haven't even really processed the film in its entirety. So yes, on the 7th, I will be watching it again just to kind of like refresh and to watch it through the eyes of a viewer and not sitting there being like, I'm acting in this. But there's nothing that's coming to mind that I disagreed with. I can't even think of a moment on set where I was like, hey, I disagree with this choice. I just felt like it all went so smoothly. Like there were times where I would ask Robin for permission. Like there's a scene where I do yell at Blake, and I asked her like, "Do you feel like you've got what you want?" And she says, "Yes, I've got it. This next one, just give me something different." So there was like freedom, and there was never really a wrong way of doing it. And it was kind of nice that when we did get the coverage we needed, and she just wanted to let us play, that we even got those opportunities. So it never came to a my way or no way situation where I would disagree with how it turned out.
Same here. I mean, there's a lot of like freedom just to like try different variations and just like see where one scene may go, even if it wasn't initially written as such. There's not necessarily like a disagreement. And my character Blake was initially written to like be dealing with mental illness, so I just wanted to like do right by that and make sure that that was like portrayed correctly. Eventually ended up changing either way, but it was never a disagreement. It's just like okay, like how do we do this correctly, and how can we just like I don't know, not make anything misinformed in any way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that what each woman brought was they brought their own unique take on the characters, and I think we really worked. Like there was I remember a night with you, Dare, where I kind of just spoke to you about your personal life to get you to that point where you broke down, and it's such a beautiful moment. And that was also a really nice thing because we had such a small crew, we could do that, where you weren't revealing your life to a bunch of strangers and were able to really connect. And same with you, Willow. I remember then a night we did, it was the scene where you grab Dare's leg, and you kind of started that yelling a little bit, and we brought it down, and that's one of my favorite scenes now. It worked. So I think we all worked really well together, and it was fortunate.
That's good to hear.
I mean, I wish we could give you some more drama. I don't really.
Yeah, like we didn't
actually at this very day in time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I apologize if I seem like I'm searching for like drama or trying to like stir up the pot in some capacity. What I guess I'm just trying to get is just like a sense of like, how is it? What's it like working with Robin? Like, what is the directorial style? Like, how do you like to let your performers go at it with a scene, or like, do you have like, this is the vision and we have to stick to this path, you know? Or do you give them freedom to explore, and maybe in editing you come back and you say like, okay, that take is better than what I was thinking in the first place,
For sure. I mean, I always have an idea in my mind, and then I do like to let actors play a little bit. I like them to stay on script, but give me different variations, as Dare said, because you never know what someone might do, something or give a look or something that I can catch in the edit that is magical, that I didn't think of. So I'm certainly open to it for sure.
Okay. Um, hmm. One of the great things about this is that your answers are also great, that you're answering things before I even ask about them.
Oh.
So I just have to scroll through really quick.
Okay.
Yeah, no rush.
One of the things that I liked that caught me in a moment was it was like a half hour into the movie when I finally noticed that the character of Blake was she's got this sleeve that she wears, like constantly dry. I don't want to mention how that plays out, but it has something to do with her character. At first, I thought it was just something she was wearing in a moment, and then as the movie's going along, I'm like, she's always got that on. There's a significance to it, and I don't want to spoil the film for people, but first off, that was a great move. And like, was that something in the script, or did that come from talking with the costume designer? I believe that's Rebecca X.
Yeah.
Or like.
It was actually in the script. I thought that it was something that her character is hiding, obviously, and she does a lot of hiding in her life. So, she could be stylish, but still be hiding, and you're not quite sure what it is, like you said. So it was definitely part of the script. And funny, we had to remind Willow several times, like, where is it?
Yeah, it was definitely in the script, because there were times that we would shoot something and be like, wait,
where's
the
car?
Yeah.
Did things like that help you like get into the role of Blake? Like having this stylization, this costume piece that
I mean,
kind of.
yeah, it's a constant reminder that as Robin's like, she's hiding, and she's hiding who she is and what she's gone through, her battle scars in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's like look down and be like, okay, yeah, this is the mentality and this is how we live life. So definitely helps play into the character.
Um, so there's some really great lighting in this film, and also in your previous work. Like there's like a scene in Girl Lost where like the whole street looks tinted green as they're like the world gets like sicker and darker, and there's a lot of like, I dare say, like glossy, glamorous shots in this film. Like, would you like to talk about like accomplishing that and like making that happen?
So in Girl Lost, the street scenes when they turn green and dark, and that would be, a post production thing, obviously. I like to kind of talk about lighting with my cinematographer beforehand and go from like glossy to dark, or play with colors to emote story, subconsciously. So for sure, we kind of played with that in all my films, really. But I would say, like, on a street scene like that would definitely be the colorist swooping in to create some drama.
Hmm. Okay. But that's still your direction, like,
For
to
sure.
some
Hmm.
extent, yeah. Um, Let me think here. So this okay, so this film, it feels critical of the male gaze, but at the same time, it also like kind of uses elements of that gaze. And did you want viewers to feel like a certain oddity while like watching the movie? Like the visuals can arguably, excuse me, the visuals could arguably be objectifying, but the story is very humanizing, which kind of negates that objectification. I'm going to learn how to talk one day.
Okay.
So like there's that weird sort of like cognitive dissonance where like you get that, where maybe this is just because I'm male, but like you get that sense of like, especially when they're doing the scenes that are like for the video shows that they do.
Hmm.
There's that sense of like oh my god, I'm ogling a person. Is what I'm trying to convey making sense? It's like, no, this is a person. This isn't an object all of a sudden, but
Right.
it's got the stylization of that objectification. You see where I'm coming from?
Totally. I think that's an interesting point. We're kind of straddling the line, where there's that world where people are looking at them because that's what they're doing. And then the other side, the human side, that these are two people, two women, experiencing each other. And um, wow, that's pretty intense that you pulled that out, to be honest with you. I need to process that. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I feel like, because I am in the adult entertainment industry, so I'm very well acquainted with the male gaze and how to turn on the charm for that. But I feel like that's the reason you click the movie poster to watch it, but you stay for the characters, you stay for the storyline, you stay for the realism, because in actuality, this is a perfect example of life, like social media. You talk about the glamour shots of the lights and how beautiful it is, but you forget about that there are moments of darkness for everyone. We forget about that with celebrities all the time, that like we're seeing the highlight reel of their lives, whether it's sexually objectifying them in that sense or them being glamorous and perfect as we would describe. But the reality of it is that everybody has feelings and everybody is going through something, no matter what it is. So sure, you can say that it's the male gaze is there. It does exist in this story, but I would equally argue that there's a little bit of femininity in the storyline and in the through line of the characters going through change.
And even having the POV of seeing what like the webcam sees and everything, like it again just highlights like this world and this like portrayal they're putting themselves through. Like as Drew was saying, it's like, okay, the camera turns on and they're putting on a show, and you get to see directly what the audience sees, and the second that's over, you get to see how that impacts each of them in their own ways.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that like it takes away from that sexualization, all of a sudden like disappears because of what's going on in the story. So like I find that interesting, and again, I could just be a pretentious whiskey sucking idiot, but like that was kind of one of the things that hit me while I was um watching the film.
I really like that
Okay.
you felt that way, actually. I appreciate that,
Well,
because it kind of takes it out of that just raw, you know, moment. So thank you.
um, thank you for making the movie. I'm curious about what was the motivation to make this a uh, make this an LGBTQ oriented film. What was the reasoning behind that?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it actually is an LGBTQ. I mean, it's two women, but I don't think it really should matter what the gender is. It's about the experience that they're having, and it could be two men, it could be a man and a woman. It's about two souls coming together and having this moment in time and connecting through all these random, you know, coincidences and life happenings. So, you know, I hope that it could be more broad, and it just happens to be two women who fall for each other. That's how I feel
Oh,
about it.
uh, any would anybody else like to offer an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I back what Robin says completely, that sure, we are two females that are cast in this, but I feel like the overlying objective isn't it's a story of two women falling in love and doing all this crazy stuff in the shower. You know what I mean? Like it's more of like two souls coming together and seeing the red flags in people and seeing them make mistakes. And it's not even just on Blake's character. My character does something pretty questionable right out the gate where she meets up with a man, and even though things were going well for her. So it's not necessarily, I feel like to focus on the fact that they're two females falling in love. It's more of the character development and the things that they go through. And I think Robin said it best, truly.
I agree. I think it's interesting on its own having two females because it's two different perspectives and two different it has the fact like they're not different genders, they're coming from the same place and they both struggle being women in different ways. And they do fall in love with each other, but it as Robin was saying, it's not necessarily like about the novelty of them both being women. It's just a love story showing that the general struggles that they go through overall.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So a film like this, because it's got so many dark elements and stuff like that, like it can be exhausting making movies. Period. I'm not speaking from experience, but what I'm getting at is like, especially with something that's this raw and emotional, like what do you do to keep yourselves from getting burnt out while you're putting this all together?
She made us a teaser trailer.
I mean, yeah, you guys go first because I have a yeah.
Yeah, there was one time we had to come back a couple of times to work on certain scenes because not every time when you go to do a scene are you going to hit it out of the park. There are days where you're tired, you're not well, something happened at home. There's always going to be outside influences. But with this film in particular, we had the luxury of being able to go back 2 times, 3, if I'm not mistaken, to just really make it the best thing that we could possibly do with the time and the skill set that we had. And there's always going to be moments in life where things shake you. But I feel like for me, being on set in that time, I was going through like a pretty emotional time in my real life. And it was not easy for me to take those emotions and put it to something, but it really helped me get through the scenes and really helped me get to that vulnerability and get to those dark messages so I could provide a scene and an acting ability that made it seem real and not sugar coated, not fake. And I'm so happy that we went back as many times as we did and made it the best that it is now. And I just can't wait for everyone to see it. And I really hope that they can see the hard work that we've put into it.
I'll piggyback off of that and that I was also going through like a pretty rough time initially, just like outside life going on. And it was really nice being able to play a character in that sense that like lived in that darkness because I was able to translate it really well. And so I had kind of like a funnel of like where to put those feelings in some, even if, and like it was like in this like world that we're living in every single day over and over again. So it wasn't necessarily like even a draining experience always. Like, yes, we would be tired or yes, we wouldn't always hit out of the park, but I think you get into that like rhythm and just like you pull the negative parts from your own life to translate that into like the emotions of the character, and it helps in a sense. And then you go home and that's like you feel better because you dealt with that by dealing with the character's own emotions.
This for me was the hardest movie that I've ever made. I mean, it was emotionally and physically exhausting. I took on a lot of jobs to keep it small so that to provide an intimate, safe space for Darren Willow. And I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think I was pulling like 16, 18-hour days every single day for 2 weeks, and it was really tough. And then we did come back, and luckily you two were willing to come back and redo stuff to make it, I to get that connection and all those things. I mean, I immersed my whole life and my heart into this movie more so than I think any other one that I've ever done. And even the edit, I mean, I was like pulling all-nighters every night. It had to be that way to kind of to get each moment and really find that connection between these two characters. Otherwise, I really felt like it was going to fall flat. And when it was finally done and I turned the movie over, I think I slept for a few days. And then I was like, I don't know if I can ever make another movie again. That was so hard, Of course I'm going to, but but it was tough. It was really tough. And I'm so lucky that I had these two ladies because you really, really were troopers. And it wasn't easy. And we shot in the desert and it was 114 degrees for the first 2 weeks. And so any scenes that were outside were just a nightmare, even at night, it was so hot. But we did it.
I can't imagine that. I'm
Yeah.
from Chicago. The heat is not my friend.
It was not nice. You would not have liked it.
And then like mosquitoes.
Yeah, mosquitoes too. So all the
Sprinklers were
ailments.
going off.
Yeah.
There was the pool was supposedly heated and it wasn't. So we were cold sometimes. Like we were fighting any element you could think of. There was fire. I don't know if you know, there was fire at one point. Like it on paper, it looks like a really easy film to make, but
I thought it was going to be super easy because I just had two actors primarily, and I'm like, and we'll be in one location. It was so hard.
That kind of leads into one of my last two-ish questions. Was it, as you said before, you've made multiple films at this point, some of them award-winning, and I was going to ask, like, is each project its own personal hell, or does it get easier as time? It sounds like this one was very difficult by your own admission.
Yeah, this was the hardest. So, like I said, I thought it was going to be the easiest, but it became the hardest. My first movie, my first feature, Girl Lost, which should have been the hardest, was the most fun and easy, and like just seemed like everything went right, and not that anything went wrong on this one per se. It just was really challenging. The material was challenging. The heat was challenging. In hindsight, maybe I should have had a little bit. I go back and forth. Did we need more crew, or did I do the right thing? I feel like it was important for the characters to have that intimacy. And so I think ultimately I did the right thing, but it was hard. I'm not going to lie. I was doing props, locations, everything on this, that normally you would have other people helping out with. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I just answered your question or not, but I think it just depends on the project. And I think this was intense material and two challenging roles. And so it made it hard, So, I don't know. How did you guys feel?
Gosh, I don't know what the question was, but
I'm not sure either. I just kind of like started going on there.
I was familiar with Robin's work because coincidentally, one of my friends who's actually an actress has worked with Robin. Her name's Cody Renee Cameron. And so I had seen Girl Lost Hollywood with Cody in it. And I had no idea when I was auditioning for Robin that I was actually auditioning to be in one of her films. And I remember watching it and thinking about like how complex it all the storyline was and the characters, and really being impressed by my friend who was in it. And I remember auditioning and then meeting Robin and then talking to my friend about it and her being like, wait, Robin Bain, right? And I'm like, yeah, why? And us just having this moment of like, Hollywood is such a small world from time to time. And it was just so cool to have that connection with her. And then also to be on set every day with her and see how it all, like, how is it made? Like, I feel like every actor and DP and cinematographer would love to see a film somewhere and then get to be on set with that director and see how they do it. Like, it's almost like having access to the secret recipe. And it was so awesome to be a part of that experience and also see how much heart Robin puts into her films. Like, she doesn't just like show up. She's not like other directors that'll show up like last on set and just kind of like call the shots and get through it. It's like, she is literally crafty. She's running around getting all of our food orders, making sure our food allergies are taken care of. She put out a fire one day on set, literally, which was crazy. She was making the props, getting the props from another location, putting them where she wanted them, also directing the cinematographer, making sure the sound guy was there. Like, she was wearing, I kid you not, 12 hats a day. And it's inspiring to see, because as a young woman in Hollywood, and Robin has been in this position as an actress as well, that we need more women filmmakers out there. And this is like such a testament to it, that if it's not done the way you want it to be done, do it yourself. And Robin's a great example of that.
She does it herself.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I think that is important for young women and in this industry is, take control. If you want to do something, you got to do it. No one's going to hand it to you. And it's hard, but it's worth it in the end, for sure.
Willow, is there anything that you would like to add?
Again, I'm not really sure where the question
I know
was.
I screwed up the question.
I mean,
so.
I agree with everything that you said.
I
Just call
guess
that
what I'm, I
Robin.
guess what I'm
It's
asking
fine.
is like now that you've done a film,
Mhm.
like once you've done a film, does it give you a better sense of like how everything works, and
For sure.
does it feel like it's gonna be a smoother ride the next time around, or is each film that you do gonna have its own just personal problems, like that, something's on fire all of a sudden, apparently. I would really
Uh,
like to know more about the fire, by the way.
Well, I'm actually not the person who put out the fire, but I was there. I was screaming. Willow leaned forward and her hair got
My hair
caught
caught on fire.
in a candle, and someone else put out the fire, but
You were
I
on
made a lot of
standby.
noise. Yeah.
I remember it was like being like, did I get layers? Is there...
Yeah.
It did end up being like bad, but I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like a scene where I was like leaning down to like do coke as Blake does. And it's just like
It's like a Michael
like
Jackson
the
moment.
candles.
I wasn't part of that, so I missed
Yeah,
it.
Dara thankfully was not in the room. But to answer your question, I now that I'm several films in, I certainly know what it takes and what needs to be done. And I'm not sure you can actually answer that question, because I don't, every movie brings something new and a different challenge or a different reward, or, it's always, the personalities of the people that you're working with and the locations and the elements. You just don't know what to expect. And so, and anything could change or be easier or harder, but at least I do know what it takes and what needs to get done, for sure. So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for your time. You've been very generous, and I really appreciate it. We at Film Obsessive really appreciate it. So I guess in closing, just do you want to let us know about any future projects that you're involved with, looking forward to? And please, take your time and let us know everything you feel comfortable sharing.
Go for it, Derek. We're
Great.
starting at the top.
Everyone looks, they're like, all right, Dare, take it. Well, after being on Robin's set, I've actually stepped into the role of producer this year. Very much so. I produced my very own music video that I wrote a song in 3 hours. It's kind of a silly little bit bop, but it's called Retail Therapy. So if you want to hear and see a little bit of what I learned from Robin and what I did with it. That's a great example. Currently, I'm producing another music video for the holidays. So mark your calendars for Black Friday. I'll have another music video coming out. And I co-wrote and am producing and am starring in a short film that I'm hoping to take to the film festival circuits, and kind of following the steps of Margot Robbie, because she has been a huge light and a huge path for a lot of young actresses, where in the same vein of what Robin says, if you're not seeing the roles that you want to play, if you're not getting in the right doors of the rooms you want to be in, sometimes you have to pave your own path. And she's been a film festival actress, and that's how she got her start. So I'm hoping to do that sort of same thing and lift up a bunch of my other actor friends who I know are extremely talented and they just need a shot, kind of like how Robin did with me. So I'm kind of writing, producing my own projects, but you can find me daily on social media. I have an Instagram account, Directorial Official, and I post everything. I'm a big cosplay nerd, so I usually am in some kind of funky costume, or I'm telling you a little bit about my life and crazy things that have happened to me. I'm also on TikTok, where I make a bunch of skits. I'm a streamer as well on Twitch, so if you want to catch me playing some video games. So I kind of dabble in a lot of things, but mainly Instagram's the best place to find me.
Thank you.
I'll say mine. I do have something really exciting coming up. I'm just not allowed to talk about it. But
Okay.
we'll be starting to develop, I guess, early next year. So if you want to keep up with that, on socials, I'm not as active, but I'm at Willow Gray on Instagram.
And for me, I mean, first and foremost, I'm going to be promoting Girls on Film November 7th. So really exciting. And in the new year, we got Girl Lost 3. And yay, another Girl Lost in the works. And
I will buy a fresh bottle of whiskey.
yes, you're gonna need it. And and hopefully something similar to this kind of genre that we just did in Girls on Film. So I'm just actively moving forward, but right now just really wanting to get the word out on Girls on Film. And thank you so much for having us, Jay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time and everything, and especially I said I wasn't going to mention it again, but sorry about the technical problems. The last interview I did, I was about 2 minutes in before I realized my microphone wasn't even working. So I don't know how I got this position. Or I'm like, I want an expanded role. And they were like, yeah, take a shot at interviews. It's going as well as you would expect.
You're doing great.
So,
Yeah, just starting that.
thank you. So yeah, Vicky's gonna send this to me, and then I'll give it over to the people of Film Obsessive. They're gonna put it on, I guess, YouTube in conjunction with our review,
Okay.
and hopefully we get all that together before the release to help promote this for y'all.
That'd
So,
be awesome. Thank you.
all right,
Cool.
and
And I appreciate all your
congratulations, and
nice
best of luck.
things that you said about the film. I really appreciate it.